Welcome back to VADA Live. I'm your host, Dan Kerrigan, and we're bringing back Joe St. John as our guest for another interview. I think this is your third VADA Live appearance, Joe. Joe is Corporate Finance Director at Oaks Auto, Inc. And speaking of returning, Joe is going to be at the VADA convention again this year. So today, we have a lot to talk about. The conversation may go in 30 different directions, but our ultimate goal is chatting about... It's great, Joe. It's the best. And it's just a changing finance space, what it means for dealers across Virginia and beyond. Joe, glad to welcome you back to VADA Live.
Dan, I am so stoked to be here. I have never not had fun on a VADA Live with you. So anytime you want to talk and you want to record it and you want to share it with people, I'm 100% down, my man.
Thank you, Joe. Appreciate that. And for others watching, too, we're always looking for interview guests. Joe had a great experience. We'll welcome folks on VADA Live. To start, Joe, we had been at the convention last year, and remember speaking with you. You just got off the stage giving an amazing talk. We were on the VADA Live set, which, as a related aside, VADA will be at this year's convention, the VADA Live, that is, and there's a lot of energy, a lot of enthusiasm. What's going on right now? What's the top line approach? What's new with you?
Yeah, man. So for me, it's been a lot of really exciting changes. I have ended up back in retail, and I say ended up. I've found my way here.
Yes.
It's been something I really love. I'm really passionate about the automotive retail car business, and so I found an opportunity to join an organization that I really believe in, to go build something kind of from scratch, and it's been really fun. We just bought our third dealership. It's had wild results. I didn't know you could go from here to there so quickly. And that store's absolutely rocking. It is a hard world out there for dealers right now. So I would say, I say hard world. There's a lot of things that have changed in the last 12, 24, 36 months that I think there's a lot of people adapting to. And I'm really excited to share at least what I'm taking away from that. Some of the adjustments that I'm seeing really great dealers make and the things that we're trying to put in place to really take that on and be successful. Because I think that in a challenging environment, it actually creates a lot of opportunities for people that are really focused and good and are really dialed into seizing that challenging moment. And so for me, I think that there's a really exciting time to be in retail. It's a really fun time. There's a lot happening. And I can't wait to be at Virginia Beach with everybody talking about what's going on in this business and where we're all seeing it going and what I think that we can do to really put ourselves in a position to win as dealers. And so it's really fun for me to get to be here and to talk about that.
You are currently in Kansas City, and as maybe another question to kick us off, Joe, I'm fascinated by the markets. Is there anything you're seeing in Kansas City? You know the Virginia geography, dealer base really, really well. Anything of note from your experience getting back into retail in Missouri?
Yeah. So for me, I think that what we're seeing across the business right now, is a compression of margin. And so I was on a webinar podcast a couple weeks ago with Cindy Allen, the CEO of Stone Eagle. You know, they have over 9,000 dealers that they do data and analytics for. And when you look at that aggregated data, the story from January 21 till, now is really terrifying because you've gone from, $4,700 per car down to $2,500 per car. Front end has done basically this. It's down, I think from January 21 to December of 25, it was down like 90%. And so you have this world where margin is really compressing and front end margin specifically. But I think if you zoom out beyond that, you have a picture that is, from 2019 to right now, the front end and back end margin has actually gone up. So you have this story and then you have this story. And I think both of those are really interesting. And so, for me, I think there's a lot of dealers that are now struggling to adapt to a return to normal and a return to the car business as we knew it really previous to basically after 2020, right? And so I think that there is a lot of things that really matter right now that probably didn't matter as much a year or two ago. And what I mean by that is the discipline in executing consistent systems and processes and building out a team and culture that can execute when things are statistically harder than they were, a couple of years ago.
To put a finer point on that with the finance side of things, what's different about today's environment compared to even a year or two ago?
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of movement happening in the finance space, right? First off, F&I profit is a hyper focus for everyone right now, meaning that as front end margin has gone from this to sometimes negative, the way that dealers remain profitable is production in their F&I department. It's also harder now because you've got consumers who aren't just so desperate for the car that they're willing to buy everything. And so there's a consumer that's a little bit more, I would say, a little less go excited, a little more trepidatious. Combined with that, you have a lending environment that is, bro, it's a rodeo right now. I would say, books are finally starting to catch up. Right, a couple of months ago, my books, the books hadn't caught up to where the market was on used cars. So you're fighting these LTV battles all the time. Right now, what I would say is I'm seeing some of the major national banks, at least my gut, right? I don't have a data source I'm going on, but it feels like their rates are starting to come back down. But credit availability feels like it's tightening up. So if you have really incredible credit and you're looking to buy a car, there's some really good deals out there from the lender side right now. As credit becomes higher in risk, availability for those deals seems to be much slipperier. It's harder to figure out where to go. And I think that the challenge that presents for dealers on the F&I side and really on the sales manager side is, I give you an example, right?
Yes.
I think that there's a lot of, I would say, experiential knowledge that we kind of call gut instinct in the car business, right? So I just know where to go do this, or what lender's going to give me what. And the way that we do it, we've really tried to take a lot of that out and use data to drive the way that we submit customers. So we are 100% of the way that we submit a customer for the first pass is done through AutoFi on the showroom with a customer. It's wonderful. It literally helps. What's funny to me is every time I feel like a manager tries to outsmart it, they would have gotten a better call had they just gone through it. And I have all of these great examples of it. But for me, here's an example of where, a customer comes in, it's tax season, so she's got $3,500 cash. She's a 601 score, so on the very kind of the lower end of what I would consider it's not deep subprime, but it's a challenging customer.
Sure.
But she comes in on a 2016 Chevy, so it's a 10-year-old vehicle, and she's doing that because it's a $13,000 car, and she's looking for a payment that's going to be in a range that's affordable. And I'm getting, basically shut down at all the lenders. So, for me, I'm looking at all of these different data points, and you have these ideas oh, okay, wait a second. Her multi-bureau goes up to a 650 on Equifax. That's Kia's preferred. What if we flipped over to a new Kia, and that would be a tier 4 call? It would be a 7% rate versus these 29.9s I'm getting. Go see if she'd be interested in a new car. And so what I think this creates challenge-wise for the dealer is, bro, I started selling cars in 1998, Dan. I've done this for so many years. You can just see the play. And I think that there's a lot of people that are, at the desk right now, even at my desks, that they got promoted to sales manager in 2022, or they got promoted to sales manager in 2024. And so I think that we're moving to this space where there's so much volatility in the lender programs, and they're changing a lot by day, that you have to stay really in touch with those. And you have to be able to have some real consistency with what your lender strategy is. And I think AutoFi gives us a great opportunity to really establish that and be consistent with it. But then on the challenging ones, you have to have people that know where to go find those deals, or you're going to miss car deals, or you're not going to maximize the back end of those deals. And so I think I know I'm kind of talking a lot here, but I really am passionate about it. I have our head of training, who's our variable ops performance director. He always says that there's a lot of summer nights and they're having to deal with winter right now. And I think that's like a fantasy novel way of describing it is it's been really easy. And now, bro, it's hard. And so people are confronting like, okay, this is harder now. I've got to develop some new skills to be really good at this.
It makes sense to me, Joe, and I'm no expert. My claim to fame in the auto world is growing up 10 minutes from Manheim Auto Auction in Manheim, Pennsylvania. This is a world, and through these interviews, I've been gleaning a lot. So that is to say, it makes sense, and there's a lot of, in theory and concept. As we look to those changes and dealers that are hearing you and want to tighten up their F&I performance, where can they focus on immediately from that inside the dealership execution side of things?
Yeah. Dan, it is 100% consistency for me. If you want to run really good numbers in F&I, the key is not being like a wizard. The key is being consistent in the way that we are presenting to customers. Okay. My best F&I producer right now, she's incredible. I take 100 more just like her. We record every single turn. The way I run my F&I team is I literally am wearing like Google or the Apple Vision Pros, and I have live F&I turns happening all around me while I'm like staring at a spreadsheet in Route 1 and working deals. But if you listen to her, every single time she has a customer in her office, she is full of personality. She's unbelievably likable, but she presents the exact same way every single time. She builds value and the protection options, giving customers the ownership experience that they hope for. She asks them questions very strategically to get them to agree to all of these ideas of what they're hoping to get out of this experience. And when I literally was watching one the other day, we do a lot of remote F&I. It's a crazy thing that we do F&I turns for customers all over. It's another way that we're managing expenses is I can have thinner F&I teams, which give them more turns, but they do remote turns at each other's stores. So they will be video chatting on a giant screen in an office with a customer that's a 45-minute drive from where they are. And we're running as big, if not bigger, numbers on those remote deals than we are in our in-person deals. It's pretty wild. But I'm watching a remote turn of hers. Customers at home sitting on their sofa. She's going through her word tracks beautifully. Like, it is perfect. Gets to the end, and the customer goes, okay, so I think I for sure want this. I think I really want this. Tell me a little bit more about this. And you see that she's consistent. Like, to sell F&I products and run the numbers you need in F&I, you're selling a lot of money's worth of protection options. It has to, like, you're not asking for, all in for the platinum package is $4,000. It can be $8, $9, $10,000, right? Depending on what car they're buying, it's a lot. And to do that, I think you've got to build real value. And if you want to improve your F&I numbers today, I don't even really care what your presentation is. It just needs to be consistent, right? Like a friend of mine reminds me all the time, Will Cleveland, tells me all the time, a bad process executed consistently and perfectly will outperform a great process, a perfect process that's never executed.
Wow.
And for me, I think that in the F&I office, that is so true that at the end of the day, the more consistent that they're doing that presentation over and over again, you just watch numbers go up. And when I see someone's numbers go down and I start watching turns, you know what I see? A lot of inconsistency. I see them not doing it the way that they were doing it when they were running really great numbers, and we go have corrective conversations to get them back on track.
This is a bit of a talent question. You, of course, just overseeing the department, having a really strong, I think you mentioned manager level, may call me out, may or may not be unique in a dealership. How do you take the combined skills of that management and ensure that you're teaching others who may be interested in the F&I? How does that work downstream and that talent from the leadership end and work across the team to achieve that level of consistency you're mentioning?
So one of the things I love about what we're doing at Oaks is we are unbelievably intentional with it. So we have a thing we call management and training. It's our MIT program. So we take our top performing salespeople that are showing interest in moving up, that want to get into F&I. We put them through an internal F&I school. It's an actual F&I school. So before I went to work at AutoFi, I ran F&I training for one of the biggest F&I product companies. And so I put them through a hard, curriculum-driven, like well-organized F&I school. They come out of that, they get a mentor from the F&I department whose job it is to help them develop. They get access to some additional systems so they can build their deals in Techie on our DMS. They have manager access and AutoFi so they can kind of work their own car deal, so they get additional things. And then they have standards they have to stick to. So they've got to sell 21 cars a month. They've got to upsell our VIP program at 40%. Like, there's certain things they have to do to stay in the program. They have to come to training every Friday at 7 a.m., right? So they show up early. They have to upload a video of them doing their presentation once a day. And so we have all of these things that we have them do, because what I believe keeps dealers from being able to grow typically isn't capital, it's human capital. And I think that for us, what we're hoping to do is build a talent factory that produces really great people that are bought in and believers and acolytes in our way of doing things, that when we're ready and we need somebody in F&I, so we're hiring into our F&I right now. We post the job internally. They all get to apply. They have to upload a video of them doing our F&I turn. They go through an interview with the GSM, the finance director at the store, and then we pick from that talent pool. And then it gives us an opportunity to give really quality feedback to those that don't make it. So we're required to give 3 specific items that they need to work on to be in a better position the next time. We have a really great HR director that's really supportive and helps us put all this together. So Hannah gives us all sorts of resources to help support this. And so we're building a machine inside to help develop this talent so that we're never limited by a position or our inability to fulfill it. Now, from that F&I, we're going to build a manager one. We're going to build out these other functions. But that's kind of an easy place to start, because it's really, for a lot of people, the next step on the sales journey. And it allows us to, define a curriculum, train against it, and develop talent through that system. And I think for a lot of dealer groups out there, the really great ones, they have systems like that that really support their growth over time. And I've worked with a lot of those people, which these aren't new ideas. These are not these are, taking ideas of me seeing what some of the best dealers in the world have done, and then applying that here in the early stages where you're only 2 or 3 stores, knowing that, dude, we want to be at 10 stores. We want to be at 20 stores. We want to grow. So we're trying to really refine it in kind of this, this incubator of crazy ideas, and then scale that out. And that's what we're attempting to do.
I want to ask about lender relationships. Yeah. How should dealers be thinking about them, especially right now?
Yeah, I think it is more important than ever to have really good relationships with your lenders, because getting deals done right now is work. Mm-hmm. And for me, personally, so right now we're centralizing our kind of F&I director function around managing CIT and all incoming phone calls. Okay. So we have what we call a finance control desk. It's a job that me and Will are doing right now. I've got goggles on, I'm watching turns, and I'm cleaning CIT and calling lenders and structuring deals. We're stopping a turn midway and saying, hey, Dawson, call me back real quick. Dawson calls in front of the customer. Hey, I got you a better approval. It's going to be with, Santander. Your rate's 0.7 lower, and it's giving you more room for the back end, and there's no fee. Let's go that way. And so we're trying to drive all that. As a part of that, I've been going through and managing and cleaning up CIT, and I've got to tell you, I've built some relationships with some of these lenders, and so has Will, where they've become really helpful, not just on the access to the approvals that they're giving. A lot of that's driven by algorithms now, but in helping us to unlock what we need to get funded, or hey, look, we'll take this to I just think that a little of that's been lost. And I think part of the reason it's been lost is, so when I started, when I was a sales manager in the mid 2000s, Dan, I didn't ever submit a car deal at the sales tower. It was all done by an F&I manager, an F&I director, and then they were working those lender relationships. Now you have sales managers that are submitting most of those car deals, and then F&I's kind of so owning that relationship and building it. I could call, my buyer at Toyota, and they would do, I believe, and they might say, no, we didn't really, but I believe I could get them to make some really good exceptions to help earn the business the way that we need to earn the business, or move the right direction. And I think as that movement has kind of happened with the desk being involved and finance being involved, I think it's not an area that people focus on anymore. And I think it can be the make or break between getting this deal, the structure we need on this deal, or not. And I think that it's one of the areas, if I'm being really honest, when I came to Oaks, I wasn't spending a lot of time on. Yeah. Right? I was like, the lenders all want our business anyways. Now I'm seeing the impact that it's making really on getting funded and the cash flow. And so because of that, I'm working to get better relationships with each of those lenders, because I think it's going to make a difference for us in the long run.
Where do you see deals fall apart? We talked about the positive, a lot of things and insights for dealers to use. In your experience, not necessarily at Oaks, what's that breakdown that can occur in the finance process?
Yeah, so I think that there's a couple of breakpoints, and we're really trying to address them here. So breakpoint number one is the actual penciling process on the showroom. Mm-hmm. Like, Dan, the deals happen, I watch all of them, they come in waves, right? Like, you're sitting here, there's nothing happening right now, and then we're working 5 car deals, and Matt's the only guy at the desk right now, so you've got 4 salespeople standing in front of Matt, and the 4th one in line, you know, is getting their first pencil. They got back from a test drive 30 minutes ago, and the customer's been waiting the whole time. For us, like, that's, I feel like, just unacceptable in the level of experience we want to deliver to a customer. And so we set it all up in AutoFi when they're on a test drive. They come back and they're immediately looking at numbers. And I think that that does a couple of things. One is our focus, and we a lot of times are better than where our waterline is. Mm-hmm. I want to close 40% of our showroom traffic. 40% of the people that are looking at a car, they're going to buy a car. And we have days where at 48, 53, 37, like, we are in this area. And I think a big part of that is we just get directly to the numbers, and we don't let them cool off after the test drive while they're waiting for us to do nonsense. The thing I think it does is we are frictionless pricing. We don't negotiate on the selling price of the car. And because of all that, it's in our base statement, it's in our greeting with the customer. When the customer gets back and they have this experience, when they go into F&I, they're not exhausted from negotiation fatigue, where they've been out there grinding for 2 hours. They've been out there for 20 minutes, and now an F&I manager's bringing them back to contract. And I think that really impacts the F&I number. Now, what I will also say I think is harder now is the amount of paperwork that I have to do to sell a car is so much more than it was 20 years ago when I was selling. I used to hit a button in dealer socket and would print a bunch of stuff out, and I would highlight what the customer needed to sign, throw in a deal jacket, go get it signed, come back. I would check off the checklist on the front because everything was signed, put it in the right order, sign off on the bottom, and send it to finance. Now, to put a Kia pack together, I'm downloading an invoice from the Kia system. Now I'm uploading that to Tekion. Now I got an e-contract, so you got to make sure that everything validates correctly. And there's a detailed knowledge, kind of technical expertise that I think also goes into it that gets discounted. We're like, why does it take? Well, it's taking so long because I just had to scan 73 documents and upload them to this car deal, and I've got to validate a lease, and they live in Alaska, and the systems are freaking out. In the taxes, I don't know if I'm going to validate tax. And so I think that there's another part of where that breaks down. In the F&I office, and I literally fall asleep to the sound of F&I managers' voices doing F&I turns. It is a sickness. Here's where it breaks down in F&I. If you're a dealer watching this, pay attention to this. Because F&I, every time you do a presentation, you get to the end, everyone's going to tell you, I don't want none of that stuff. And you have to just accept that as just part of the job and not freak out and not emotively react. And where you'll see is when F&I managers get insecure or they're shut down or they're freaking out, where it breaks down in their process is they will slide over to the computer screen and start typing randomly on stuff that doesn't actually matter and stare at the screen because they're hiding from the customer because they just got told no. And Lorraine, who's leading my board right now, she doesn't do that at all. She just accepts it oh, of course you said that. All right, well, and so I think that where the process breaks down in the selling process is out of fear, they hide behind the computer screen and they go to their calculator and I watch because I'm also recording their screen. I can see what they do. And I think that that's in their process where dollars start escaping.
Bear with me on this question, maybe one or two final, Joe. And you had mentioned the numbers with the number of deals you want to close and that just high volume is to say it's a work that those inside the dealership are familiar with. If I'm a customer, I'm just seeing someone typing at the keyboard. I don't really quite know what's going on. I guess the question is, do you think there's a delta in opportunity for dealers to close the knowledge gap with consumers as to what's going on, why? And at the end of the day, I think that builds up trust. So when you come back with that Santander deal that you had mentioned, 0.7 lower, I'm trusting you. I'm part of the process. What do you think? Does that delta exist with knowledge, and what do you think dealerships can do about it to engage their consumers and give them that knowledge?
I don't work for AutoFi anymore, right? Like I'm not, but like,
Sure.
bro, it's magic on my showroom. Like if you watch any of the interviews, like JB Burnett from Press or any of the dealers that are really using it, like I'm going to show you how I train salespeople to close car deals at Oaks. You ready? It's a 5-step process. You get back from the test drive. I sit down and go, okay, Dan, I just want to verify. Here's the keys to the car we just drove. Stock number OK7432 Alpha. That's the one I have right here. Is this the vehicle you'd like to own? And Dan goes, yeah, I mean, if the payments and stuff work out, I like it. All right, cool. Then let's build your deal together. And we turn the screen to the customer, and we sit sideways, and we look at it, and it's got down payment, a bunch of chips for term, so 48, 36, 48, 60, 72, 75, 84, and it's got a payment right here. And I go, okay, Dan, with 10% down at 60 months, you're at a 782 payment. Is that what you would like to do? And you go, I don't know, put $5,000 down. And I put $5,000 down. You go, okay, go to 72 months. Okay, 72. Okay, go back to 60. Okay, go back to 72. Yeah, what interest rate are you using? And I click it, and we're estimating at 9%. Well, I think I can get better than that. Well, let's go ahead and submit and see what the lenders come back with. You hit submit, and you fill out a credit app, and it takes you 2 minutes max. And then all of a sudden, after 90 seconds of decisioning versus the 30 minutes to 4 hours it's going to take at a different dealer, you see a Chase approval, a Wells Fargo approval, and a Santander approval with all of the rates right here in the payments. Santander cut us back to 60 months, and they're asking for an extra $2,000 down, but they got you a rate of 8%, right? And you go, okay, which one of these makes the most sense for you? And you go, I'll do the Ally one. And we go, all right, cool, let's select that. And so we're leveraging that transparency and that trust to get a customer to go, okay, I'll do that. Now, what I'm doing in the finance control desk is now I'm looking at all that information and seeing, is there a bank, will Meritrust Credit Union give me a better deal on Dan than that deal? And, we're always trying to optimize, but we want to give you a starting point to make a decision.
Tracks, Joe's. One final question. What are you looking forward to the most in Virginia Beach this year? Connecting with Virginia dealers, taking the stage again. What keeps you coming back to
so I look forward to
convention?
the parties for sure, bro. I like that. You guys, let me just tell you, VADA knows how to do it, all right? What I love so much about it is it's a family-oriented event. I got to bring my kids last year, and they went to a Oktoberfest party and danced and ate ice cream, and they had the best time ever. Secondly, you know what I love about the VADA convention is I'm excited to come share what I've learned over the last 12 months of what's happening out there. I'm also unbelievably excited to learn. You have people with real expertise, with real vision that are solving the world's problems, and every time I'm at a VADA event, I leave knowing more and feeling more empowered to go kill it at my dealership. And so for me, even though I'm in Kansas and Missouri, hopefully someday I'll be in Virginia too, right? For me, I leave there with a couple things. I know more. And the other thing I gotta say is Dawn and the team at VADA are such good advocates for their dealers. Like what I've seen them do in combating some of the things that are happening in our industry and standing up for dealers when they feel like they're getting taken advantage of. I always walk away feeling good about our business and feeling like I learned something that's really valuable to me. And I can't wait.
You've been hearing from Joe St. John, who is finance director at Oaks Auto Inc., a speaker, part of the amazing lineup set for the VADA 26 convention. It is June 22nd through the 25th in Virginia Beach. If you have not registered, time's running out. Recommend that you register as soon as possible, really. Well, we thank you for watching VADA Live. We appreciate Joe St. John for his time. I'm your host, Dan Kerrigan, and we really hope to see you next time.